holidays and, the employment matters keep you busy.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Now I'm going to move on to approval of board minutes. The first, okay. So approval of board minutes for December 15, 2022, regular meeting minutes. So do I have a motion on that?
No, because to attorney that Mr. McCann, so usually this public meeting need to reflect.
I'm sorry, maybe I can just,
Okay, so-
listen, I'll just come closer.
Sorry,
to you so
I
can
can
hear
speak
you.
up.
It's okay. There's no microphone.
So in public
Garcia.
meetings, these are the working session needs to reflect the meeting as well, or just regular meeting is fine. So we have a working session and the regular session.
Right,
So today is a little more combined, but before until next, last February, that we had separated.
you separated
Yeah.
the minutes,
Right.
from work session to.
Some months are not, so I
Right.
just want to clarify what the things for the public media. The municipality, they always separate the meeting for working session and the regular sessions.
Right.
So what about the Board of Ed?
So, when you're doing minutes of the meetings, you have to have minutes of the meetings. You can do a combined minutes, you could say, in one sheet of paper, one report of the minutes, we had a work session, and this was what was you have a summary of what was discussed, you have the attendees of who attended, and then in the same report, you could say, and for the public session, this was the agenda, and this is a separate report, these are the attendees. So you could do it in one report, but you have to have two separate sections.
Okay, because when we discussed the working session different contents
Yes.
from the regular session.
Correct.
So that I this
So,
kind of.
so the minutes will reflect that this was the minutes for the working session, and the
Yeah.
minutes should reflect
Okay.
these are the minutes for the public session.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I'm sorry, my boyfriend need to speak up, please, thank you. And, but based on what just Mr. McCann mentioned, that I really still need to ask, I'm sorry, Mr. Alex, I hope you don't feel offended, but I think this minute needs to be amended again.
Which minutes
Because
are
the
you
working
referring
session
to?
and regular session is.
Can I just ask a question about that? You just mentioned that there need to be separate minutes. The working session is a working session that is then formalized in the regular meeting, so it's unclear why we would have to have two separate minutes when it's the same context, it's the same content.
What
So
is
the
it?
only thing I would add is that there should be something in the minutes that state this was the agenda in the working session.
And they're usually mirrored, just so
Right.
everyone, so it's usually the same, it's not one agenda for the work session and then a separate agenda for the regular meeting, it's the same agenda.
Okay?
Right, but the discussion is different.
We're discussing the same agenda.
Right, but the summary may be different, which is, again, it's not a requirement, it's a best practice
Okay.
issue, honestly. And, so it's mostly so that to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act, it brings more clarity to the average person who wants to pull up the minutes, say that's posted online. So, the point is that it is a separate session, and it needs to be, it has to indicate, it should indicate that as a best practice. But it's,
Just a brief summary of what was discussed in the work session and then,
right,
okay.
right, and sometimes, you're right, they're gonna be almost identical, and sometimes not. Like tonight, you had this presentation, which was really substantive, and so the minutes should reflect, this presentation was given, and I think,
And they weren't discussed in the work session
they weren't
at all,
discussed,
so, okay.
exactly, that's exactly my point.
Okay.
And also about the official recording, because it's December, it's like 3 months before, like ago from today, and so I never really see the official recording, but by the board secretary that it was damaged, so I couldn't get any official recording. So how did the minute could come up if there's no recording? So
There was a recording. There's no official recording. The only thing official is the minutes
Uh-huh.
that I signed, so there's no official recording, it's just a recording,
There's no
just
voice
as,
recording or?
just as they record, like, I watched it on YouTube, I also watched it on, I listened to it on the iPad, but I couldn't send it to you because we had an older iPad, so I sent you what I had, I believe I sent you the January recording.
Right, but did you find?
If you want, you
the-
can listen to it in the old
The
iPad.
January, I listened to it, but the December, I couldn't find any regular meeting session on YouTube or in PPEA on channel, so I just wondering how could the regular meeting couldn't come up?
I listened to it on the old iPad,
Oh,
so if you want, you can come to the office and listen to it.
okay, then
You would like?
can you, okay, so then I'm asking you, again, I'm sorry to stop to approve the December meeting
What is
minutes,
the
but.
concern, what, is there a discrepancy, cause this is we're at March, and we've been trying to
I
approve
know,
these
but
minutes.
it's, the meeting minute just reflects the working session contents in my memory, if that's correct. But that's not the regular one, and then
Did we
my
have a work
content.
session in December?
I don't know.
We didn't have,
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Specifically in the
I can
I
check
don't
with
think
my
we had a work
notes.
session in December.
I can tell you, I can go back.
We did, cause the video tape is also separated between the work session and the regular session. And I remember what I mentioned, I asked, you guys to just
December
include
December
the
board meeting I
portion
have as
was in regular session, but was.
December board meeting I have is the 15th of December. It does say 6:30 start, so there could have been a work session that night, cause I know we started all our other meetings at 7.
In the minutes, we write that,
Oh,
the work session, there's no, action taken during the work session, and immediately followed, the regular session continues. So,
yes, but I will be requesting to include some statements that I made, that actually one of that was related to the policy change amendment today.
I listened
So-
to the recording and I tried to put what you wrote, what you said, and I sent it to you in an email, so
But not the December one, like, I'm talking about December meeting.
it was for December, yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
it was just pulled up the existing minutes, from December 15th. So you did it exactly as I stated, it says regular meeting, there's a title. And then you go down one, essentially, not even a paragraph, but, 2 paragraphs down, and there's a line that delineates, a work session was called into order at 6:30 by the board president, and then the roll call was taken, and then they provided the content of the work session, as a summary, and so then they went, and there was a report of the president, report of superintendent, et cetera, so they did it the correct way.
Yeah, the formality is okay, but the contents that I mentioned in the, regular session was not included.
What's the content that you're
It's
referring to?
about these policy things that we just, talk about the amendment of the travel policy.
Okay,
That I initiated it, and then, we discussed about it. Few discussion was, come and go, but I have been requesting those parts to be included, and then it wasn't.
I wasn't here, so I don't know what you're referring to, but what,
It's-
I mean,
it's
I-
a
as I-
policy- it's-
are you, when you're saying, as I'm looking at it, what is it, so that I understand, that, what is the discrepancy in the minutes?
I have actually, I just, cause we
I'm
don't really have
sorry,
much
you
time,
can
so.
tell me offline if you want, but I'm more than
Okay, I
happy to.
have like the email transaction with the whole secretary regarding what needs to be amended. But I didn't really see the changes, that's why I'm just asking to.
No, I'm just trying, what was it that you wanted to change?
She has an email exchanged, maybe she can share that with you.
Oh, okay, fine.
Ms. Chung,
Yeah,
maybe if you can share the email exchange with Mr. McCann,
okay.
would that be sufficient? And then he can provide or give you an opinion?
It has nothing to do with the resolution though, so I'm not sure, I included, I amended it, and I
Yeah,
changed it based on what you wanted, I'm not sure.
But
I
it's like
what-
cause and effect, those like conversation regarding on the agenda, that's a permanent public record, I want it to be accurate. If I see this is incorrect.
Okay,
That's why I
so
said-
just
Not
share the
incorrect.
email thing with me, and if you want, I'll come and listen to the presentation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And no one made it yet.
So, can I make a motion for December 15, 2022?
I'll make a motion for approval, just on the advice of council that it's compliant, with the requirements and the law.
Well, I don't see how it's not compliant with what I just saw, so.
Is there a second?
Second.
You can't
Any
second.
discussion?
Hold on, hold on.
Can't second, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Only the
December
old-
15th, only the old members can vote on it.
Second.
No, that's correct, that's correct, my bad, sorry.
Only previous board
So we-
members can vote, right?
That's correct.
Roll call, please.
No, we need a second.
Okay. Second, I heard.
No, that was a new board member.
Okay. Oh.
I didn't hear, I couldn't hear.
Bill, it was you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You redact that second, please.
exact.
Ask for another second.
Is there a second? Okay,
I can second it.
okay. Give me a minute.
Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Alex,
Newman?
only the old members.
Yep. Yoonmin,
Yes?
Anieska Garcia,
Yes.
Kevin Lim,
No?
Sue Chung,
No.
Charlie Shin.
No.
Thank you.
Ms. Chung, please share the email with Mr. McKay.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, now second, January 24, 2023 regular meeting minutes and February 15, 2023 regular meeting minutes. Can I make a motion on that?
I have a question to Mr. McCann. I'm sorry, just general question regarding the Robert's rules. So when a board member make the motion and it was it was a meeting, it was agenda, it was toward like moved by and then make a motion by. Does that make any differences or just same? It says moved by.
No, it
or-
doesn't matter.
Moved is a
Doesn't
motion.
matter.
It's the same thing.
Okay,
Same
so
thing.
it was
Yep.
up and down, so I'll change.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So again, can I make a motion on that 2 minutes?
Are we doing them separately? I think we should do them separately.
Okay, again, January 24, 2023 regular meeting minutes. I make a motion?
I make a motion for approval.
Any second? Second?
Go back.
Okay, any discussions?
I like approval, but with just one condition, that can we put the portion, parts about the discussion about the audit business parts, about the audit company awarding, the discussion about the audit company, that we actually have made quite a few questions and then debate about just having one company being awarded and being on the list. But those parts are, whole parts are out of the minutes. I think that was very important discussion. Would you consider that to be included in the meeting minutes?
I remember, you're talking about, no, I don't think I was there at that one. You're talking, no,
You weren't.
I wasn't.
Yeah, it was
Um,
January
I-
21st,
I would have to, again, I would have to listen to that
Because-
myself
right.
to determine that, but I can tell you this, while you were, I looked up what the statute in New Jersey requires for minutes. Minutes shall be in writing and shall include A, the date, time, and location of the meeting, the members of the, B, the members of the public body recorded as present and absent, C, this is key, a summary of the discussion on matters proposed, deliberated or decided, and a record of any votes taken. That's the Open Public Meetings Act's requirements. So the ambiguity I think you're referring to is, a summary of the discussion. And, it's not a factual recitation, it's a summary of actions that are taken, not
Right.
all encompassing discussion points. So, for example, if there was a discussion on, to pick an ice cream truck vendor, and there was 5 vendors discussed, and it was agreed upon to select one vendor, your minutes would not necessarily have to include the 4 you didn't select.
Yeah.
The minutes have to reflect
Right,
the vendor that you did select,
Like to approve.
yeah.
right? So, if that, is that, I
Yeah,
think
that
that
I
should be
know,
helpful.
yeah, I agree with that, and I understand, I just say this, having one audit company being listed, that's, a few board members, at least we expresses a really big concern about having just one person, one company on the list. So that
Oh,
discussion.
I think you said something about that in the last meeting too. I think you're referring to, yeah, I remember that, I was here for that. And what I can tell you is that, again, if you didn't take any action on that company,
Okay.
it's really not germane to the minutes. I wouldn't think so.
Well, it's not mandatory, but I'm just asking.
You know, I think-
How you other board members consider it's.
Well, it's not for me to
nothing.
decide what you know, I'm only can give you the guidance of the statute, and what is required is what's germane, and what is germane is what you acted on, not what you didn't act on. Does that help?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay,
There should be a roll call to do the first and
okay,
second.
roll call please.
Yunman,
Yes?
Iniesta Garcia,
Yes.
Sue Chung,
Yeah,
Helen John,
Yes.
Kevin Lim,
Yes.
Rebecca Lee,
Yes.
Anthony Kim,
Yes.
William Kim,
Yes.
Charlie Shin.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. February 15, 2023 regular meeting minutes. Can I make a motion on that?
Sorry, I make a motion for approval.
Any second?
what about the one audience's, name, wrong name on it? That's the okay, just ask.
You mean, if there's an incorrect name
Right,
in the meeting, well, that should be corrected.
okay, so I'm suggesting that to be corrected. So with that condition, I can. vote.
Okay, Alex, could
So
you
you
hear?
said, cause there was just, that's for February.
We still need a second.
Yeah, we still need a second. So were you seconding it?
I'll second, yeah,
Any discussion?
with the condition.
So now that we're in discussion,
Yep.
there's a condition that there's a misspelling on an audience participant's name. So I guess that would be the condition, so long that the name is
Correct.
corrected.
Let me see, it was, February?
Is it a spelling of the name?
I think it's February, I'm sorry, not February, that's January, I'm just confused with January, February. Yeah. I'm sorry, the name is January, I'm sorry. February is
Have to
different,
go back and correct.
different audience.
Well, no,
with-
you
That was approved already,
No,
sorry.
it's a minstrel,
It's right.
so let me be clear, you don't have to redo that.
Right,
It's a minstrel change, and the statute requires that you have to record the names of the people who attended. And if someone spoke from the public, that's gonna be someone who attended the meeting, so it's a minstrel, you don't have to re-vote on it. Alex will I just ask Alex to fix the name. and
Okay,
it's
thank
done.
you.
You're welcome.
So we'll go on. So any discussion for, do you have any question?
yeah, I'm sorry, this is again about the audience first, and then,
Are we on February 15th?
yeah, February 15 minutes. That was just about some current raise, questions regarding the special education therapy stuff. That I can explain to the board secretary, because this is incorrect, so I think it's just about, corrections of the contents. Maybe it's because it's about the special needs therapy stuff, but that needs to be, it's incorrect.
Well, you gotta,
So the nature of the context, again, we're back in the summary,
Yep.
is the concern that we are not dictating or memorializing it as per
Yeah,
the
because,
discussion.
the parents,
summary.
they, I don't know if they all received this, and if the parents who raised the question is here in as audience today, I don't know, but that I clearly remember that was correct.
Right, so what's wrong with the summary? And
Where it's,
so that I understand.
okay, so this Dr. Vasquez was not mentioned for the speech therapy. So it's at the last page, page 12 of 12, and then
Mhm.
second line from the top. Sujan recommended a program for district use to provide Dr. Vasquez.
Well,
Those-
There's the discussion point at the top of the page. This first bullet point talked about HVAC project is weather dependent. The district is seeking an outsource of a speech therapist. Sue Chung recommended a program that the district use to offer by Dr. Vasquez for speech therapy.
No, I didn't say that, and it's very, I never meant to say this one. I don't, maybe it's just,
Well, I just you said it's there. So what you said just now is there. So I'll just leave it to a vote. I mean, again, the content is not for me to decide. It's for the board to decide, and
it's very simple to compare to the YouTube video reports. It's going to be very simple.
again, I'm going to go back to December for you and listen to the audio and get your email. But still, the content vote is still up to the board, and those for December, who's eligible to vote. So, the objection is on the floor to you, so you can ask for a motion to, if there's anything else, I would ask if there's anything
I
else wants
asked
to add.
already motion and
Okay.
they seconded, so can we roll call?
Okay. Yoon Min,
Yes.
Agnieszka Garcia,
Yes.
Sue Chung,
No,
Helen John,
Yes.
Kevin Lim,
No?
Rebecca Lee,
Yes.
Anthony Kim,
Yes.
William Kim,
Yes.
Charlie Shin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passed.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we are going to move on the committee appointments. Okay, the first finance committee, William Kim, please.
There are 18 resolutions before us from Finance Committee. Make a motion for consent agenda, items 1 through 18.
I'll
Any
second. I'll second.
Okay. Any discussions? Roll call, please.
Yoon Min,
Yes.
Agnieszka Garcia,
Yes.
Sue Chung,
yes.
Helen John,
Yes.
Kevin Lim,
Yes.
Rebecca Lee,
Yes.
Anthony Kim,
Yes.
William Kim,
Yes.
Charlie Shin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next will be building and ground committee. Anthony Kim, please.
I have, 5 items to, make a motion to consent.
I'll second.
Any discussions? Roll call, please.
Yoon Min,
Yes.
Agnieszka Garcia,
Yes.
Sue Chung,
Yes.
Helen John,
Yes.
Kevin Lim,
Yes.
Rebecca Lee,
Yes.
Anthony Kim,
Yes.
William Kim,
Yes.
Charlie Shin.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next one, would be personnel. Any Garcia?
I have 10 items for personnel. I make a motion on consent agenda for approval of all 10 items. I would like to second.
Any discussion?
Is that Rebecca who seconded?
Yes.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Yoon Min,
Yes.
Agnieszka Garcia,
Yes.
Sue Chung,
Yes.
Helen John,
Yes.
Kevin Lim,
Yes.
Rebecca Lee,
Yes.
Anthony Kim,
Yes.
William Kim,
Yes.
Charlie Shin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next one, curriculum committee, Rebecca Lee.
Before you, there's 7, and 7 items I would like to move to consent agenda.
Rebecca, just before we move on that,
Oh.
just let the record reflect that number
Number
six.
6 will be, instead of 12th grade, it'll be Korean 3 and 4.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I'll
Miss.
second. Jean,
Any
second.
discussion? Roll call. Alex, roll call please.
Yoon Min,
Yes.
Iniesta Garcia,
Yes.
Sue Chung,
Yes.
Alan John,
Yes.
Kevin Lim,
Yes.
Rebecca Lee,
Yes.
Anthony Kim,
Yes.
William Kim,
Yes.
Charlie Shin.
Yes.
Thank you. Next one will be our negotiation. Kevin Lim.
Yeah, there's no consenting agenda today.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lim. Next one, police committee. Any excavation?
There's one item under policy, the update to bylaw 9250, so there's one item for approval.
Any second?
I second.
Any discussions?
So those updates are just reflecting the ones from the state, New Jersey State,
Correct.
right?
Roll call, please.
Yoon Min,
Yes.
Iniesta Garcia,
Yes.
Sue Chung,
Yes.
Alan John,
Yes.
Kevin Lim,
Yes.
Rebecca Lee,
Yes.
Anthony Kim,
Yes.
William Kim,
Yes.
Charlie Shin.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next one will be NJ School Board Liaison, alternate, Susan.
Oh, I don't have a report.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to County School Board Rep, alternate. Helen John? Okay, thank you. Now next will be into old business. Is there any old business? Okay, let's move on to new business.
I
Okay?
do have one motion, Madam President, as per my presentation and as required by the Department of Education, in order to satisfy the requirement of CUSAC and to remain compliant in instruction and programming. I ask the board to consider our submission of the CUSAC waiver that will show our data that showed growth from 2021, 2022 to 2020, 2021. I need a motion, a second, and a roll call, please.
Do I make a motion?
I'll make a motion to submit the CUSAC waiver.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Yoon Min,
Yes?
Iniesta Garcia,
Yes.
Sue Chung,
Yes.
Alan John,
Yes.
Kevin Lim,
Yes.
Rebecca Lee,
Yes.
Anthony Kim,
Yes.
William Kim,
Yes.
Okay,
Charlie Shin.
thank you very much. Can I make a
Thank
motion?
you. Hold on, before we go to audience participation, very important to note, we have a budget hearing, and it may need to alter our regular scheduled April meeting. The budget hearing cannot be had before April 24th. That must be concluded by May 8th. So we have a window from April 24th to May 8th. We have a regular scheduled Board of Education meeting, I believe on April 16th, correct? I'm glad she still comes to these meetings. April 19th, she's wrong. April 19th. So if the board would like, we can keep the April 19th, but we would be required to come back for another meeting for the budget hearing. Otherwise, what we've done in the past, we push our board meeting back at least 1 week so we can obviously advertise a budget hearing and a regular meeting to be followed after. So it would have to be voted on for approval tonight. Again, I don't know what your schedules look like for that following week. But we tonight have a resolution to submit our budget. After the State Department of Ed reviews it, makes any recommendations, we obviously will oblige. Then it comes to the public for a hearing, not a vote. We do a hearing for the full submission of our budget for 23-24. So again, I know we don't have much time here, but if we are to change our calendar, we would need to memorialize that tonight.
So just to be clear, we would keep our regular meeting for the 19th and have the budget hearing the 26th?
If you like me that much, we can do that. Or we can push the regular meeting off a week and do both in one night.
Okay,
And then we don't have to do special.
Okay.
That's why.
okay.
Well, we would still have to advertise as a new meeting night.
For the 26th.
Correct.
Okay.
How many minutes are you anticipating the budget hearing might take?
20 minutes,
Then so maybe you can start at 6?
if it works for everyone. The budget hearing is very similar to what I've done in the past with the business administrator. We have about 10 slides. We talk about where the budget, the majority of our funds go. As we all know, 75% salary and benefits. We talk about the increases, as I mentioned earlier, 2% and how that impacts the taxpayers. There's not, much to it when you have a November election, when the voters do not vote on our budget. It's 2% more on the local tax levy than it was last year. But again, if 6 o'clock is preferable, if anyone has an objection, we can start the budget hearing at 6, immediately followed by the work session and into the regular
Or
meeting.
could we just skip a work session for that day since?
We can do committee meetings with everyone.
It's up to you.
Can we do it that way
Yeah.
and start at 6:30 instead?
Yeah, start at 6:30 and just not have a work session given.
Just for the record, does Wednesday, April 26th work for the board members?
Yeah, to me it's okay.
That should be.
As we might remember, okay, usually we agreed to give the agenda about like a week ago before the meeting.
Yes.
But it's getting delayed, and even this week, this month, we got agenda on Monday, okay? This meeting was not important that much, so it's okay, but like that, the
Budget
budget
hearing?
is very important, so I would like ask you to give the agenda and the details, like at least week ago.
So as long as the Department of Education turns it over to me, and really Alec, we can share it with you
Please,
at least 1 week prior. Keep in mind,
okay.
there are districts that vote in April. They have elections. Those districts will get back their information from the department before us, because that impacts them locally.
Okay. The earlier
As
the-
soon as we
the
have
earlier
it,
we receive, the smoother, okay.
as
the
soon as we
money
have it,
can
we
be
will
passed.
share it. But we do have to pick an evening for the meeting tonight. Does the 26th of April work for everyone?
Yes.
6:30 PM?
No work session.
No work
No work
session,
session.
budget hearing to be followed immediately by our regular meeting. We need a motion and a roll call.
Okay. Do I have to make a motion for, April 26th at 6:30
I make a
meeting?
motion for 26th at 6:30, no work session, going to budget hearing and a regular session.
I'll
Any-
second.
Any discussions? Roll call, please.
Yunmin,
Yes?
Anieska Garcia,
Yes.
Sue Chung,
Yeah.
Helen John,
Yes.
Kevin Lim,
Yes.
Rebecca Lee,
Yes.
Anthony Kim,
Yes?
William Kim,
Yes.
Charlie Shin.
Yes.
Thank you. Alex, you would have to advertise them separately, okay?
Yep.
Thank you. Yes, Mr.
Sir,
Shin.
before we move to the audience participation, I have one question, okay?
Sure.
Since I started come to this place, okay, ECC school, the toiletry was out of order from January of last year. Why couldn't we fix it? Because, and not only this one, when I worked as a poll worker in high school, the building room, that toilet kept out of order for 3 years, okay? So I think that's the minor things, fixing like the toilets, but still, it could cause a lot of complaints. So is there any way we can check all the toilets in the school and fix it?
Mr. Shin, I can tell you publicly, if it was minor, it would have been fixed. What has been brought to my attention regarding this toilet, and we have Mr. Spalazzo that will tell me when I'm wrong. We would have to break the concrete
No, we have to rip out the entire floor, repipe. the
Well, I
entire-
think that would include
I'm
breaking
saying,
up the
you
concrete.
have.
I don't know how you rip
We're
out the
gonna-
floor
we're-
without
we're-
breaking.
We're gonna rip out the whole bathroom.
Mr. Shin,
To get at
The,
it, so.
their issue with the drain, the urinal, is that underground piping is a major construction renovation, and I am not ready to shut down this building. It was easier to shut down the one stall. But to your point, aging facilities, this part of the building, although the building is new, this part of the building is not new. These are not excuses, these are facts.
And it was not well built.
But again, this part of the building was not the new construction on the classrooms.
So should we keep that forever? Or-
No, I would like to break the concrete. I would also like for some money from the municipality to help me. I can't afford it and sustain our budget. I don't wanna bankrupt us.
Maybe we have to invite the governor to the toilet.
Well, the toilets are working, it's the two urinals that are the problem. Yeah. You know, my problem is the urinal.
And Joe, just for the record, if we were to do a project of that magnitude, I know we're not in audience participation, I apologize for putting you on the spot. This building is in full use through the month of August.
So our only entrance is here, and it'll,
Is there an alternative to fixing that toilet without going underground? What if we
the
just,
floor has to come out, there is no basement under this part of this, there's just, we have to break the concrete, we have to run a new line.
and the concrete, what you're referring to is coming probably through this hallway.
More than likely, we're gonna have to close this hallway and rip up this floor to get our connection. That's what I'm saying, it's something that, as I told you, is going to be expensive, it's going to be a long time, and it's gonna be a pain in the butt.
So being that it was brought to our attention tonight publicly, and we are well aware of it, why don't we get an estimate from our plumber? And then let's get a timeline of what it would cost, and I would be more than happy to share
I believe
it.
we had an estimate on that, when we first discovered the problem, but, with COVID,
Maybe next year when we do Pi Day, we can take some of those funds.
I say it's going to be.
So that's matter of money, right?
Pardon?
Money
That's a
and
matter of
money,
or a matter of?
Mr. Shin, it's money and it's
The
also,
money is not, it's
Time.
getting a chance when this building's not used to do this. You're talking, it's not gonna be done in a half hour, it's not gonna be done in 24 hours. It's going to be,
this
you
will
know,
take
a couple
weeks.
of days of disruption. Of not being able to use the hole.
We have to look at maybe the month of August. The only time, because this building is in full use for the whole month of July for special education. ESY.
You have not been very responsive to me for closing down buildings. We have other buildings.
I think our kids
I
come
know,
first.
I understand, like I said, it's just that we do not.
We
have-
will, I will follow up with you.
The work that we have to do is going to take longer than we have the time for right now in our, we don't have, the time is not budgeted for this.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you so much.
Sir, I have just one question, if I can have a meeting, that's whatever you have time, you guys will meeting minutes, because I don't always wanna bring this issue every month. And then still I have to just, see the meeting minutes of February that I didn't say this, and it wasn't there. It's a permanent record that I'm really not happy about. So, can we discuss how we
You
can
and I,
prevent
you wanna
this?
meet to discuss the
Yeah, and
minutes?
Mr. McCann here.
Yeah, I think, John, if you wanna have a meeting to discuss the minutes, yeah, I think we can do something.
Thank you.
No problem.
And one more thing I'd like to add is, okay, since for 30 years, we didn't change any the number of the committees, but now we just had the new committee, okay? Since this new committee, okay, next time when the new chairperson comes, okay, I'd like to get the instruction of that, the committee, like job description or what the role would be, okay, for the future works. Sometimes some committee works duplicated, like building and finance, sometimes it's duplicated, so it makes it causes some confusion. So this time, when the new committee start, okay, I'd like to get the instruction or what the role of the new committee is. So can we
Alex,
get
I think,
that kind
if
of
you
things?
don't mind, make a note to reach out to New Jersey school boards. Ask them for, it's not a job responsibility, but it's necessarily, it would be something indicative of the roles and responsibilities of the committees. And then you can share them with all the board members regardless of what committee they're on.
Thank you. finished, okay? I'll close my mouth.
Thank you, Mr. Shin. Now,
Audience participation.
can I make a motion to open, audience participation?
1 minute, right?
I need a motion.
2 minutes, not 3 minutes. Okay,
Make a
3
motion to
minutes
open audience
for each
participation.
person.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry,
Yes.
Remy Rivera, 5 Topland Avenue. Sorry, this was a really long meeting, so I have a few questions now. With the 1.3 million in the grant, is that going to will tuition be waived for ECC again because of that grant? I know parents have been asking.
Oh, I'm not allowed to answer.
Right, okay,
Please.
sorry, yes, I forgot, okay. The next question is, summer program, I know it was approved for ECC, does that include IEPs? Third question, I noticed there's a lot of trips here for the older children, will there be trips for the younger children, like Lindbergh and ECC? And then the last question came about when he was asking about the bathrooms, why is it relevant if we're looking into a new facility? And that led me to the last thing, is the plan to move the entire pre-K and K program to another facility, or are they being split up? That's it, thank you.
Nerica Potter for Coaglen Avenue. I have a few questions, so I'm sorry, I know it's late. I would like to know, if any follow-up or any outcome of the incident that happened in the high school. Regardless the phone call and that, I would like to know if there's any, update in that. Another question, or not a question, I think this before, and many times, what are we gonna do with the fan in the Lindbergh? I know, everybody know that I live in front there, and it seemed like they closed it too early. The one in the side of Glen Avenue. We need to have this open, because today, it happened that my daughter just jumped in that to go and practice, because she's gonna start softball with some other girl. When I see that, I almost get a heart attack, because I see other children jumping into that, but it's closed. I believe, like we all know, that we don't have a complex for the kid to go and practice or just play basketball. We don't have a facility here. This is the only place that they have. And it seems that the fence is closed. So what they do, they go in through under, that is very dangerous because metal, or they jump into and just roll down. I think we need to leave that open. I understand when we get dark that we close it because we don't want anybody to just go there and do whatever. But it's been seen like it's closed and they have to just, they don't have no alternative, they have to jump. So we need that open. I don't wanna see it again. I see it closed, I'm gonna call the cop and I'm gonna say, can you open this? Because the kid is getting danger, very dangerous. They have to jump over. Another thing that I wanna say is, so if we get that grant, that we're gonna use this facility to bring kids from Lindbergh here and make it like more space for the kid in Lindbergh, how we doing it? Like, if we get that grant, we moving the little kid that is in ECC to that facility, for that way we could have more space for the kid in Lindbergh. And other thing is, why we don't have a class tree for the kids that are like an 8th grader, 9th grader. I seen like it's in a little cap, like for the senior, I understand they live and they wanna have a tree, that's fine, I don't have no problem with that. But I don't see, we don't have any kind of class tree for like the kids that are in other grader, like the younger kid.
Okay.
Good evening, my name is Liza Cho, and I live on Central Boulevard, and my kids love their teachers and attending ECC, so thank you to Dr. Cirillo, all of your board members, and for all the creative activities, for your efforts. And I also wanted to mention, I had a really good experience with Principal Romero, Mrs. Fierro, and the behaviorist, Mr. Luis, in resolving an issue that I recently had with the school, so I really appreciate that. I just wanted to share my experience with trying to obtain special education services for my younger son, who has a language disorder, gross and fine motor delays, and sensory processing differences. I believe that a more nuanced perspective of disabilities, particularly language disorders and sensory processing disorders, among other disabilities, is needed here at the district so that children with special needs are provided with the services that they need to develop to their full potential. My son attends the Powell Park ECC. He's in pre-K 3 and has currently an IEP for physical therapy. When my son was 2, he was diagnosed with a language disorder and received 5 days of therapy a week through early intervention. When he turned 3, I hoped for a smooth transition of services from early intervention to the school district as provided for in the IDEA Act. But instead, the district initially declined to even evaluate my son, finding that he did not even qualify for an assessment of special needs. Upon appeal and mediation, the district agreed to conduct an evaluation, but while they approved physical therapy for my son, the district ultimately declined to provide speech services. I then had my son evaluated again by a private speech therapist who found that his language skills put him at the first percentile compared to his peers. The Palisades Park School District has consistently denied him services when therapists from early intervention, from private speech practices, and his developmental pediatrician, who is well respected and known in Bergen County, have all recognized that he is severely delayed in his language disorder. I have been told the following problematic statements by the child study team. 1, my son's speech delay may be due to being a multilingual home, which is an assumption because we are actually a monolingual home. Number 2, the delay may be due to COVID and the milestones have been lowered, in which case resources should be directed to address the impact of the pandemic rather than lowering the standards for who can receive services. And moreover, speech delays were a common issue even before the pandemic. 3, I should see an ENT and audiologist. I have done both, and they have said that there are no concerns in their area of specialty. And 4, there are kids who are nonverbal, suggesting that my son is not sufficiently behind to receive services. However, both